Step number 7 is to learn about the Canadian workplace culture. Now we are hoping that you've done your research, you've prepared your resume, you've applied for the job, you've gotten the interview, now you've gotten that offer letter, and now you are supposed to start the job. One thing that you will need to do is make sure you learn about the Canadian workplace culture. In Canada, they will tell you that the communication style is very indirect. Somebody will be telling you, please, I wish you could do this. It's not actually a request for you to do that thing or not. He's actually telling you he wants you to do it. And if you are somebody who is not aware of this, you might end up thinking that you have an option. It's important to understand the Canadian work culture. Some of us were lucky that we went through a whole session of cultural dimension to understand how our cultures that we are coming from is different from the Canadian culture. But the onus will now lie on you, that person who is now moving from your home country to Canada to come and work, to make sure that you've informed yourself when it comes to the Canadian workplace culture. Because having knowledge of this particular Canadian workplace culture will at least help you to be successful in that role that actually you've been recruited for. This will involve understanding at least the work environment, the communication style, and even the workplace etiquette, because every workplace has its own work etiquette, and you understanding it is going to be very important in this particular process. You can also learn about the Canadian workplace culture by also understanding workshop, networking events that are even organized, or even reaching out to people who are working in those particular industries to ask the relevant questions, which will help you to be informed about the workplace culture. A few things that you need to understand about the Canadian workplace culture is it is common for people to address you by your first name. Titles might not even matter here. The other thing is punctuality and respect for deadlines are highly valued in the Canadian workplace culture. So if somebody tells you that we are meeting at 10 a.m., the person is actually expecting you to be ready to meet at 10 a.m. So now you have to get there before 10 a.m. and be ready to start that meeting at 10 a.m. So punctuality and respect for deadlines, because everybody respects their time here in Canada. Also, you have to know that it is common for employees to take initiative or be proactive in the job that they are doing. You are actually expected to be innovative in the work that you are doing to make sure that you are being efficient and delivering on the results faster or efficiently. Overall, from my experience, I will tell you that understanding the Canadian culture or workplace culture is going to be key if your aim is to work in the Canadian work environment. So make sure that you are reading the necessary literature, you are doing the necessary research to understand the kind of company that you are even going into, because communication here might be very indirect. There are a few things that you are not expected to do in that particular work environment. You are not expected to possibly to stereotype in any way. You are not expected to at least discriminate in any way. Even when it comes to dress code, it might be casual, but you are expected to be formally dressed. Even how people dress, communication styles can vary from direct to indirect. There are some topics that even in the Canadian work environment, you are not expected to even discuss. Things like money, sex, and even religion. Those are some of the things that some workplaces, you are not even expected to even discuss those topics, because they end up being controversial. So all these are things that you are supposed to inform yourself in the Canadian work environment if your aim is to work in Canada. Overall, these are 7 steps that from my experience and my research, I think if you decide to follow, it will help you to be successful, at least to land a job in Canada before you arrive, or even if you're already in Canada, it will help you to land that dream job that you've always wanted to go after. If you think there are other things that I left out, feel free to leave your suggestions in the description column. And also, if you want to reach out to me to have more like a one-on-one, a more personalized conversation on this journey that you are trying to embark on, feel free to check the description area. You will see a link to my calendar. You can just click on it, book some time, and we can meet and have that discussion. At the end of the day, you have to remember that you'll be the one driving that conversation. I am not an immigration consultant, but maybe you can leverage on my skill set, my research, and my experience to be able to at least refine your plans that you have when it comes to this particular journey. And if there's something that I don't know, I can help you, guide you in the right direction. So feel free to click on that link and book some time and let's have a conversation. Until the next video, cheers.